Hi, let's continue our discussion on parallel and perpendicular lines. And this time, we'll be looking at perpendicular lines. So two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if the product of their slopes is -1. Okay. Now, for you to have the product of the slopes to be -1, they need to be opposite sign or negative. They have to be negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so for you to be able to get a perpendicular pair of lines, your slope needs to be negative reciprocals of each other. Okay, so let me give you one example when I say negative reciprocals of each other. If the slope of line 1, let's say, is 2/3, okay, for it to become perpendicular, the second slope need to be, this is a positive 2/3, so it has to be the opposite sign. That's going to be negative. And then it has to be the reciprocal, so it has to be -3/2. So if these are the slopes, then they will be perpendicular. Okay? So if we have parallel lines, they have to have the same slope. If the slope is 2/3, the slope of the second line will be 2/3 for them to be parallel. For a line to be perpendicular, the slope needs to be negative or opposite sign and then the reciprocal of the given slope. Okay? So let's take a look first if you can classify the following lines. So if you're going to take a look, 4y is equal to -5x plus 12. That's one line. And the other line is y equals 4/5x minus 8. Is it parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay. Now remember, we need to find, or we need to compare the slopes. Okay. So let's have the first one. You have 4y equals -5x plus 12. We cannot find the slope yet because, as you can see, y is not alone yet. All right. So what we do here is we divide by 4. Divide this by 4, divide this also by 4. So why did we have to divide it by 4? So that this will be in slope-intercept form. So in slope-intercept form, y is equal to mx plus b. In our case, our mx, this is -5/4x plus 12 divided by 4, which is 3. Okay? So what is the slope of this line? The slope of this line is -5/4. Okay? Now, how about on the second line? You have y is equal to 4/5x minus 8. What is the slope of the second line? It is 4/5. So try to compare. Are they the same slope? No. So parallel? Definitely not. Okay? Now, perpendicular. How do you check if they are perpendicular? They have to have opposite signs. One is positive, one is negative. Okay, looks good. This is negative, this is positive. And they have to be reciprocals. This is 5/4. And what is the reciprocal of 5/4? 4/5. And so this pair of lines, because they have opposite and reciprocal slopes, then they are parallel lines. Okay, so why don't you try this next example and try to identify if it is parallel, perpendicular, or none of the two. Go ahead. So if you're going to analyze these two lines, for the first line, you can see that the slope is given as 3/4. Now our second line is written in standard form, and so for us to easily find the slope, we can isolate the y. Remember, slope-intercept form has the y by itself. And so our goal is to isolate y so that this second line will be in slope-intercept form. We subtract 4x on both sides. We divide by -3 on all of them, and it will change to 4 over 3x minus 3. And looking at our slope, which is 4 over 3, and comparing it to the other one, the other line's slope, they are reciprocals. Unfortunately, they are both positive. Okay, they are both positive, so they will not be classified as perpendicular. Definitely they are not parallel because they are not the same. So they're not parallel, they are not perpendicular, and so they are neither of the two. Okay, so remember, it is important when you are identifying, or for you to remember how can you create parallel lines, or how can you create perpendicular lines. Parallel lines, same slope. Perpendicular lines, they have to be opposite signs, and they need to be reciprocals of each other. Okay?